Good morning, students. In our last class, we have studied about the five kingdom classification given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969. He has given the five kingdom classification named MONERA, PROTISTA, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So in this class, we are going to study about the main features of the kingdom MONERA and PROTISTA. So let's start with the kingdom MONERA. The kingdom Monera includes all prokaryote, unicellular, the primitive living organisms. These are microscopic in nature and the cell wall is present that is made up of peptidoglycan. The cell wall is very rigid in it, means it provides shapes and structure to the bacteria. These cell walls are present between the plasma membrane and a layer made up of glycocalyx. It is single layer in gram-positive bacteria, whereas it is double layered in gram-negative bacteria. So what are these gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria? These are the bacteria that show the staining in gram stain. If it shows staining of red color, it is gram-positive. If it does not, it is gram-negative bacteria. As it is a prokaryote, the genetic material is not organized because of the absence of the nucleus membrane. So the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, the genetic material is seen naked in Monera. The membrane-bound organelles are absent. For example, the ribosomes are present here that are of 70S unit, whereas the organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies are absent in it. It reproduces asexually without showing any variation, means without showing any gene recombination. Flagella, it is a white-like structure, or you can say a long thread-like structure may be present of single strand that is made up of protein flagellatin. The bacteria are the most abundant microorganisms present all over the world, or you can say all over the earth in any climate. Okay. If we are talking about hot climate, it is also present over there. If we are talking about cold, it is present there. Salty area, it is present there. Okay. So these are the Monera, or you can say the bacteria that are found that can survive in all climatic conditions. According to shape, we can divide bacteria in different forms. For example, if we are talking about a spherical shape, it is known as coccus. Spirulum, it is spiral in shape. Rod shape, for example, bacillus. And comma shape, that is vibrio bacteria. So let's start with the first group, that is archaebacteria. These are also known as living fossils. These are the primitive prokaryotes that live in any condition, like we can say the extreme salty condition. Such type of bacteria are known as halophiles. In hot spring, these are known as thermoacidophiles, and the marshy area, these are known as methanogens. These bacteria differ from other bacteria because they are having different cell wall structure. As in these cell wall, the peptidoglycan is absent. The membrane is made up of monolayer branched lipids. These bacteria are the anaerobes and maybe of two types. The first one is facultative anaerobes that survive in any condition, or we can say in the presence of oxygen they are able to survive. For example, thermoacidophiles. Whereas the second type is obligate anaerobes, means these are the bacteria that only survive in anaerobic conditions, or you can say in the absence of oxygen, but can survive in the presence of but cannot survive in the presence of oxygens. For example, methanogens. So what are these methanogens? These are the bacteria that are present in the gut. Gut means the alimentary canal of the ruminants. Ruminants are the herbivores, or you can say grass grazing animals like cows and buffalo. These bacteria help in the production of biogas from dung of these animals and also help in the fermentation of cellulose. Fermentation means breakdown of cellulose. Okay. The next category of MONERA is eubacteria. These are the true bacteria, and in this category the cyanobacteria is present, that is a blue-green algae. So these blue-green algae are gram-positive photosynthetic bacteria. I have told you earlier that what is gram-positive or negative? Gram-positive, that shows red color in the presence of gram stain. So these are photosynthetic. So photosynthetic, that's why, because of the presence of chlorophylls. Another pigments that are present except the chlorophyll is carotenoids and phycobilins. These are unicellular, colonial, or you can say live in colony, filamentous, and can survive in any condition, or you can say can have habitat that are in different nature. For example, they can survive in fresh water, they can survive in marine water, they can survive on terrestrial land. Okay. But a very important feature of these types of bacteria is a specialized cell that is known as heterocyst cell. These cells help in the nitrogen fixation. As you have studied earlier in the second type of autotrophic eubacteria are chemosynthetic bacteria. These bacteria oxidize inorganic substance like nitrate, nitrite, ammonia to produce energy, or you can say these bacteria help in the biogeochemical cycle of nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Then the other type of bacteria are heterotrophic bacteria. These bacteria act as a decomposers. For example, the eubacteria help in the formation of curd. So the lactobacillus bacteria is a form of eubacteria. Some bacteria help in the formation of antibiotic, and I have told you earlier that some help in the nitrogen fixation in leguminous plant, for example, nostoc or anaemia. Some of these bacteria are pathogenic. Pathogenic means disease causing bacteria. So such disease that are caused by these bacteria are cholera, typhoid, tetanus, citrus canker. Citrus canker is a plant disease. Okay. These eubacteria are able to reproduce by fission, but in some unfavorable conditions, they can produce small spores. And these spores are the reproductive unit for these bacteria, showing the sexual reproduction whenever they got favorable condition. One of the most important example of this type of bacteria, or you can say eubacteria, is mycoplasma. It is the simplest, the smallest cell of the world. In earlier classes, you have studied about the smallest cell is PPLO, pleuropneumonia-like organism. It is also known as mycoplasma. So these are the bacteria that lack cell wall and can survive without oxygen, and you can say these are the bacteria that can cause disease in plant as well as animals. Now start with kingdom Protista, given by Ernst Haeckel. It includes all the unicellular eukaryotes that live in colony form. These are aquatic. So these are the connecting links between MONERA and multicellular eukaryote. The kingdom Protista shows the mode of nutrition, autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. If we are talking about autotrophic, it shows photosynthetic mode of nutrition. So some of them are having chlorophyll in them for photosynthesis process. If heterotrophic in nature, these may be saprophyte, parasites, or holozoic. Saprophytes that survive on dead and decay organisms, parasites that can survive on a living host, whereas holozoic that convert complex food into the simplest form before absorbing it. For locomotion, it have flagella that is 11 standard in the arrangement, or you can say with 9 plus 2 arrangement of microtubules. These are the small unit for the flagella and cilia. These units are made up of tubulin. As protista is eukaryote, so it have membrane bound nucleus in it that consists of 2 or more DNA molecule as a genetic material in it. It reproduces asexually by binary fission, multiple fission, or budding, whereas sexually by the process of self-fusion and zygote formation. The first group of protista is chrysophytes. These includes all the golden algae and diatoms that are found in fresh water as well as marine water. These are microscopic in nature, so it is very small. That's why we can say we can only identify it if it is in the form of colony. They can move, or you can say float from one place to another by water currents. These are photosynthetic in nature, so having chlorophyll pigment in them. A special feature of diatoms are these have cell wall forming an overlapping shells that fit together like a soap box. The wall is embedded with silica and is indestructible, or you can say cannot be broken down easily. These diatoms left behind a large amount of cell wall deposit on their habitat. So after accumulation over a billion of years ago, the earth where these cell wall get deposited, it is known as diatomaceous earth. Means वहां पर आपको सिर्फ सेल वॉल की complete layer नजर आती है. Okay, it is gritty in nature, means having brittle, or you can say sparkle showing in nature, and silica is there, so silica is very slippery in nature, so it is used in polishing, filtration of oil, and forming of some medicinal syrups. These are also known as the chief producers of ocean, as most of the phytoplankton is in the form of diatoms. The second group is dinoflagellates. These are again the marine and photosynthetic organisms. They can appear in any color. It may be yellow, green, brown, blue, or red, depend upon the main pigment present in them. For example, if we are talking about plants, so plants have green color because of the presence of chlorophyll, and the color of flowers is because of the presence of other plastid in them. Similarly, in dinoflagellates, the color appearance depends on the main pigment that is present in the cell. The cell wall again here is made up of cellulose. These dinoflagellates have mostly two flagella, one that is present longitudinally and the second one is that is present transversely in the furrow between the wall plate. One is longer and one is smaller in size. The red color dinoflagellates, for example, Goniaxylus, undergoes rapid multiplication by binary fission quickly and make the sea appear red. So the red sea is having red dinoflagellate in them. Because of these red dinoflagellate, the color of sea is red. These also produce some toxic substance that kill the marine animals, or you can say the fishes of that area. The next group is euglenoid group. This group is having a habitat of fresh water. that is found in stagnant area. Stagnant means without water current, or you can say ठहरा हुआ पानी, जो पानी बहता नहीं है, ठहरा हुआ पानी. So euglenoids are found in stagnant water. Instead of cell wall, these contain a protein-rich layer called pellicle. This layer make it flexible, as the cell wall is rigid and it is not having any cell wall, so the body of euglenoid is flexible in nature. They have again two flagella, a short one and a small one, a long one. They are photosynthetic in nature, so they are having chlorophyll in it. In the presence of sunlight, they act as a photosynthetic organism, whereas if the sunlight is not present, they act as an heterotroph and predate on small organism. जब sunlight presence होती है तो ये photosynthesis process करते हैं, लेकिन अगर sunlight absent है तो ये छोटे छोटे अपने से भी छोटे जो organisms हैं उनको खाते हैं. The most evident example for euglenoid is euglena. The next one is slime molds. Slime molds are saprophytic protista. Saprophytes means that survive on dead and decay organisms. So they have body that moves along decaying twig and leaves engulfing organic material. So they can produce some digestive enzyme and convert it into the simplest form and absorb it. Under suitable condition, they form an aggregation called plasmodium, which may grow and spread over several feet. Okay, so these are having the animals that aggregate. Aggregate means after division, as plasmodium as a property that if it is not getting any favorable condition, it shows multiple fission. Same with is with slime molds. Okay, so they can aggregate to form, or you can say to spread over a large area. During unfavorable conditions, the plasmodium differentiate and forms fruiting body having spore on the tips. And these spores have two walls on it. They are extremely resistant and survive for many years in any adverse condition. So these are the fossils of the parasites. Okay, क्या है बेटा इनमें कि अगर अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन है तो अनफेवरेबल कंडीशन के अंदर ये क्या करेंगे, जैसे प्लाज्मोडियम डिवाइड होकर एग्रीगेट इकट्ठा होना शुरू होता है, सेम ये भी क्या करेंगे, एग्रीगेट करेंगे, इकट्ठा होना शुरू हो जाएंगे. और सेम टाइम पे ये बॉडी डिफरेंशिएशन करेंगे. डिफरेंशिएशन मींस हैविंग प्रॉपर फंक्शनिंग. बॉडी जो है उसके जो पार्ट्स हैं प्रॉपर फंक्शनिंग को गेन करेंगे. ओके, तो इनके जो टिप पे है वो स्पोर्स प्रेजेंट है एंड दे कैन सर्वाइव फॉर सो मेनी इयर्स विदाउट एनी इफेक्ट ऑन देयर बॉडी. चाहे कंडीशन कैसी भी हो, हाई टेम्परेचर, लो टेम्परेचर, ह्यूमिड, कैसी भी कंडीशन है, दे कैन इजिली सर्वाइव. So let's start with the next group, that is protozoans. Protozoans are heterotrophs and live as a predator or parasite. So these are the primitive relative of animals because they act as a predators. Okay, so the main four group of these protozoans are amoeboid, flagellate, ciliated, and sporozoic. So the first one is amoeboid protozoans. These are the organisms that can live in fresh water, sea water, as well as moist soil. They shows a formation of false feet known as pseudopodia. For example, in amoeba, it move and capture the prey by pseudopodia. So these can move and capture the prey by putting out pseudopodia. If they are marine in nature, they have silica shell on their surface. This is the most important one. Some of these are parasite in nature. For example, entamoeba, it causes disease. The next one is the flagellate protozoans. These are the free living or parasitic protozoans that are aquatic and have A flagella for locomotion. Flagella is a hair-like structure that is present on the body and help in locomotion process. These are parasitic in nature and cause diseases. For example, sleeping sickness is caused by flagellate protozoan, that is trypanosoma. The third group of protozoan is ciliated. As the name shows, it is having cilia all over the body. So it have thousands of cilia that is present all over the body, and these are the cilia that are brush like structure that is present all over the body. These are aquatic animals that have cilia for the locomotion. They have a cavity that opens outside of the cell surface. So whenever there is a food near about these protozoans, the cilia coordinate with the gut to take in the food. For example, in paramecium. The next one is the sporozoans. These are the organisms that are parasitic in nature and shows infectious spores in their life cycle. The most common is plasmodium, that is malarial parasite that cause malaria in human population. These sporozoans have a capacity to reproduce by sexually as well as asexually mode of reproduction. So today we have studied about two kingdom. The first one is Monera and the second one is Protista. So what you have to do, you have to read it thoroughly from your NCERT book.